Friday, the vice president traveled to the southern border in Douglas, Arizona, calling for tougher border security measures, despite having an open border policy throughout the Biden-Harris administration that has seen more than...
Now, that's a great point, right? How do you have tougher border security measures when your entire presidency, your entire vice presidency, you were partnered with a president who has open borders, an open border policy, and you didn't do anything to push back on those open borders? Now, because it's a popular voter issue, we're supposed to believe you that you are interested in securing or closing down the border. How many people believe Kamala Harris on this issue? If you guys believe her on this issue, give me a thumbs up. If you guys don't, then give me a thumbs down.
Than 8 million people illegally enter America, hundreds on the terrorist watch list, thousands of others already having committed murder, as well as more than 2 million evading apprehension altogether, the gotaways who have disappeared into America without a trace. Immigration and Customs Enforcement revealing this week to Texas Congressman Tony Gonzalez that more than 13,000 illegal immigrants convicted of murder are currently free in the United States and on ICE's non-detained docket. In a statement to Fox News, Homeland Security says this: the data in this letter is being misinterpreted. The data goes back decades. It includes individuals who are entered the country over the past 40 years or more, the vast majority of whose custody determination was made long before this administration. It also includes many who are under the jurisdiction or currently incarcerated by federal, state, and local law enforcement partners. Joining me now with more on the Biden-Harris border crisis is Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake and Art Del Cueto. He's the vice president of the National Border Patrol Council. Thanks very much for being here to you both. I want to get the facts on the ground. First off, Art, take this on. The DHS is saying, no. The 13,000 people who are in this country who are actually murderers already, that's being misinterpreted.
Well, I mean, I think it's just sweeping under the rug, because the story came out, and you've got to ask these individuals, where's anyone that you've allowed in the country? That's what you got to ask them. Where are all the people that have come in under this administration? Where are they? Have you kept track of them?
Yeah, I think that's actually a great question. And I don't think that they'll be able to answer that question. Not only do they come in undocumented, which means that they're difficult to keep track of to start with, but they also do not keep track of them once they get here in the United States. This is not speculation. There's proof that they don't keep track of these people. The proof that they don't keep track of these people is all of these Trinidad Aragua members, all of these Venezuelan gang members who end up getting arrested. And then once they get arrested and they finally run the background, these people came in the United States southern border elsewhere, got into trouble with the court system elsewhere, and then get released back into the United States. If there was some type of tracking on these people, in my opinion, for the most part, there wouldn't be as much freedom of movement to these criminal migrants. If you guys would agree, give me a thumbs up. If you guys would disagree, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to the specialists and shout out to everybody that's watching. I really appreciate you guys. If you all have not smashed the like button yet, please do me a favor. Take a moment, smash that like button. Also, if you guys have not hit the bell, please take a moment, hit that bell, and also please share this stream to your social media. All right. Also, if you're not part of the Discord, take a moment, hit that link that's pinned in the chat, join the Discord, and please make sure that you subscribe to my channel on Rumble. And we got the 1-to-1 ratio popping off. Shout out to everybody. We got 13 live viewers and 13 likes. Make sure you guys drop some hundreds in the chat for doing a great job with the engagement. I appreciate you guys.
And if they're going to come back and say, oh, no, this is decades, well, then you know what? They haven't been doing their jobs for decades. Because where are all these individuals that they've allowed in the country? But again, I think it's just they're just trying to, change the focus on it and look at something, making you look at something else. But the issue is clear. And I think the American public understands that. And we just cannot afford 4 more years of this.
Yeah, I have the letter to Tony Gonzalez here, Kari Lake. And basically they're saying that it's 13,000 people who have committed murder that are running free, 15,000 others who have committed rape. Your reaction to Kamala Harris's border visit in Arizona on Friday?
Now, these numbers, right? These numbers are wild, man. These numbers are very, very bad. You know what I'm saying? And the thing that's really bad about these numbers is that these numbers will be virtually impossible to reverse. They'll be virtually impossible to reverse. So my question for you is, I believe that this right here is one of the biggest issues of the migrant crisis. What do you all think that Kamala Harris said or did to address this in her border visit? What do you guys think that she said or did?
I found it despicable. She spent 20 minutes on the border. She's been the border czar, Maria, for almost 4 years now. And she came down, I think, to...
Oh, and you know what? Somebody else, right? I think it was the New York Post reported this. The New York Post reported, and somebody, you guys, let me know if you heard this as well. The New York Post said that she wore a $62,000 necklace down to the border. Did anybody else hear that? If you guys heard that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear that, give me a thumbs down. Okay.
Make her friends in the mainstream media happy so that they could finally say she visited the border. Spent 20 minutes staring down at her feet, standing next to the wall. And I was surprised she didn't call Joe Biden and say, "We did it, Joe. We destroyed America," because that's exactly what they're attempting to do. And Art just mentioned it. 30,000 convicted rapists and murderers are roaming around in our country. What they didn't mention in that list was the number of terrorists that are in our country right now. And we're living in dangerous times. They just discovered IEDs and other weapons right on the other side of the border in Arizona. And, you have to wonder, are those meant for some of the terrorists that are now roaming around? And what about the 325,000 children who've been trafficked over our border, who Kamala Harris and my opponent...
Now, there's a couple things that I want to talk about, right? You guys... Unfortunately for you guys, I fell asleep. You guys actually had like 7 good hours of content coming, but now I'm not able to do it all because I fell asleep. So thumbs down and L's in the chat for me, right? I fell asleep. But I got 2 other streams that I want to do, right? The first stream that I want to do is the evolved methods of the cartel, because the cartel are using a lot of new methods to bring people here into the border, all right? Shout out to Deacon Dave. What's good with it, bro? Now, the other stream that I wanted to do, Deacon Dave will like this. This will be a stream that Deacon Dave will like. We're going to talk about the Congo, right? Because, there's been some fact checks. They're trying to say that Trump's not telling the truth about the Congo. Literally the same people that are saying Trump's not telling the truth about the Congo. These very same people actually wrote articles substantiating the stuff that Trump said about the Congo. So there's that, right? And then we got to talk about your girl, Nancy Mace. Not only did she take out Michael Eric Dyson, right? There is a quote unquote sanctuary sheriff in South Carolina that Nancy Mace has in her crosshairs. All right. And I think that is interesting, and people should pay attention to the stuff that Nancy Mace has to say about this sanctuary sheriff, because what this sanctuary sheriff is alleged of doing is wild. How many people heard about that? If you guys heard about that, give me a thumbs up. If you guys did not hear about that, then give me a thumbs down.
Ruben Gallego, who's in lockstep with her, have lost track of. My opponent has been 100% voting with Kamala Harris. He's open borders. He calls the border wall dumb and stupid. And he said he would never, ever, ever put a penny into building it. And he is for these sanctuary cities. I was recently in New York. That city is a wreck right now, and you can blame it on illegal...
Oh man, Carrie Lake always had me dying, man. I thought she was one of the Braxton sisters for a minute. My bad, Carrie. I thought you was one of the Braxton sisters for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Immigration, even though they're not on the southern border, they're feeling the effects of it.
Yeah, Art, what about that? I mean, the children who have been missing and trafficked, what can you tell us about life on the ground there in Texas with this open border? What has been the impact?
Well, I think the impact has been felt across every single state, and obviously on the border states. People, this is the problem. They haven't kept track of anyone coming through the border. And now we're seeing it out in California. A lot of these children that are being trafficked into the country, they're coming across, and we're getting reports that they're coming with melatonin. So the traffickers are giving these children melatonin, putting them to sleep. That way they don't make noise as they're coming into the United States. So
oh, wow, that's wild. Wow, did you guys hear that? Look, we're gonna run this back. Now, melatonin is not a controlled substance. Right? Melatonin is a herb, but still though, that's wild that they're giving the kids melatonin, shut them up, right? So that they're not detectable while they bring them to the southern border. It's kind of crazy, kind of wild. You know what I'm saying?
It's about life on the ground now, there in Texas.
Here's another question that I want to ask that might be something that people haven't really considered. How much coordination at the southern border do you all think, or how much collaboration at the southern border do you all think is taking place between Mexican cartels and Trinidad Aragua? Do you think that there's a level of cooperation, a level of commerce, or a level of business going on between those two entities? If you guys think that there is, give me a thumbs up. If you guys think that there is not, give me a thumbs down. And either way, let me know what you think is going on down there.
With this open border, what has been the impact?
Well, I think the impact has been felt across every single state, and obviously on the border states. People, this is the problem. They haven't kept track of anyone coming through the border. And now we're seeing it out in California. A lot of these children that are being trafficked into the country, they're coming across, and we're getting reports that they're coming with melatonin. So the traffickers are giving these children melatonin, putting them to sleep. That way they don't make noise as they're coming into the United States. So it just makes it even worse. And look, Carrie Lake and myself, we've been accused many times of saying, oh, you know, they're spreading fear for no reason. You've heard it said, every state's a border state. Carrie and myself, we live in an actual border state. Tucson sector is at the very top of the list when it comes to encounters. And I can tell you right now, if this administration is given 4 more years after the chaos that they've created in the time they've already been here, they're going to feel empowered, and they're going to realize, hey, we don't need to do anything. Just continue what we're doing because people don't care.
I actually agree with what this guy is saying. I agree with what this guy is saying. If this administration is allowed another 4 years, that's going to give them positive reinforcement, right? Classical conditioning, positive reinforcement, no negative consequence. Is going to give them positive reinforcement to psychologically indicate to them that people don't care about this issue as much as they claim that they do, and they're going to keep it going. I don't disagree with that. You know what I'm saying? It makes perfect sense.
The American public has to care. They have to show it come election time, because if we have 4 more years of this, I do not believe we'll ever recuperate. It's going to be devastating, and we will not recuperate in this country for many, many decades to come. And certainly we will.
I would go as far as to say the level of damage that the Biden and Harris administration, the level of damage that they've created at this point right now, currently, I would say that right now we're where it would take possibly decades to fix. If we get politicians in who are actually interested and invested in fixing it, or politicians who are able to fix it because they don't have, you know, like the House or the Senate blocking every move that they make. I think that we're currently at those levels where the damage is that much. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to Deacon Dave. Deacon Dave says, is it they just hate Trump, or do they agree with Biden-Harris policy? Who is that? People that that don't agree with what these guys are saying here? They hate Trump or agree with Biden-Harris policy? I would say that when it comes to people making those type of decisions, I would say it's that they just hate Trump. I would say that it's that they just hate Trump. And the reason why I would say that it's that they just hate Trump is because if you pay attention in a lot of the blue cities, they are literally going on news outlets, Fox, local news, and saying that they don't like the migrant crisis. If you ask me, the migrant crisis as we see it today is solely the result of Democrat policies and politicians. So that should make the logic for voters, right, very easy to determine who the candidate of choice should be, right? Just because Kamala Harris goes to the border and then says, I'm going to do X, Y, Z, if we look at her past record and her track record and her rhetoric, right? Because the thing is that her actions match her word. Well, how many people? Let's. How many people have heard that saying? Action speaks louder than words. If you've ever heard that saying, give me a thumbs up. If you guys have not heard that saying, give me a thumbs down. Shout out to Carla. What's good with it, Carla? Now, why am I saying that? I'm saying that because if you match all of Kamala Harris's actions about how she deals with immigration with her words and the actions that have taken place over the last 4 years, her actions literally match her words. So now all of a sudden, halfway through the game, her words change. I don't know if I trust that. You know what I mean? I don't know if I trust that.
We'll never recuperate within our own lifetime.
I want to hit on that when we come back. I want to look at the future. We're talking with Arizona Senate candidate Carrie Lake and National Border Patrol Council Vice President Art Del Crato. We'll be back with more on Sunday Morning Future. Stay with us. Welcome back. I'm back with Arizona Senate candidate Kari Lake and National Border Patrol Council Vice President Art Del Cueto. Art, what about this Tren de Aragua gang? Finally, we're seeing some arrests, but they are raging across Colorado, New York, Texas. How significant is this gang? What are they doing?
Well, so look, you've only seen what they've allowed you to see. That's what the problem is. Under the administration, you know, they've been able to import so many criminals.
Today's your birthday, Carla. Shout out to Carla. Make sure y'all show Carla some love. Throw some birthday emoji and some membership emoji in the chat for Carla. Happy birthday. Or as they would say on Undocumented, what is it? Feliz cumpleaños.
In so many different entities, but Tren de Aragua, it's kind of like the Mara Salvatrucha on steroids. These people, they don't care, and the reason you continue to see, you know, the devastation is because there's no consequences. There hasn't been any consequences for any of these criminals the entire time that this administration has been in power, and you're going to continue to see them come across because no one's stopping them. All they have to do is come across, ask for asylum.
Now, I want to see, these are the things that we got to notice. We got to pay attention to these things, and we got to start asking these questions. We got 15 people watching. Shout out to all 15 people who are here. Can anybody name a media outlet or even a media outlet segment other than Fox or any conservative media where they've brought Border Patrol employees on to talk with and have interviews with? When has NBC, ABC, CNN, or CBS, when have they brought on border agents? Have they brought on border agents? And if they have, when? And if they haven't, why haven't they? Oh, today is your nephew's birthday. Okay, well, happy birthday to your nephew. That's what's good.
And they get released, and they all know that. So they're going to continue to come in. And you mentioned the big cities, but you know what? They're in a lot of other cities as well. We just haven't seen the impact to the effect that we've seen in areas like Colorado, Chicago, and New York.
This is why immigration. This is why immigration is the #1 issue for voters. How confident are you, Kari Lake, of a free and fair election, transparent and fair election in November? Real quick.
Well, I hope we have one. I mean, if we can just have a little more fair, then I think we can win, because the people have had it up to here with this nonsense. I'm running against a guy who's not going to confront the cartels. He will come.